Now, imagine if you will. Let me take you on a story. 2 board games, the castles of Mad King Ludwig, and between 2 cities. They bump box lids and they produce something far more beautiful. Maybe. Shall we find out? Let's get into Between 2 Castles of Mad King Ludwig. Before I start, I just want to say thank you very much to Stonemaier Games for sending me this copy of the Castles of Mad King Ludwig to check out and sample and review and create content for. So thank you very much for that. That doesn't hamper my thoughts about the game in its entirety. In this video, I'm going to just chat about the Castles of Mad King Ludwig, show you a brief summary of how it's played. There's a lot of how to play videos of this game already out there, so I'm not going to recreate the wheel and show that again, but I will talk about my thoughts about this, the differences between this and Castles of Mad King Ludwig, and of course the differences between this and Between 2 Cities. So yeah, firstly, if you don't already know, Castles of Mad King Ludwig by Bezier Games is a game where you essentially are just building rooms in Neuschwanstein, one of Mad King Ludwig's castles, with whimsical, fantastic rooms like a bottomless pit and a dungeon and all different types of fantastic, crazy rooms. The Between 2 Cities is where you are building out a city using tiles, laying them down to build out and create a cityscape for points, essentially, scoring points with tiles adjacent to each other. There is a full review of that on my website over at getintogames.co.uk, so feel free to drop over there and check that out as well. So, Between 2 Castles basically is the perfect middle ground between both games. It has the same silly rooms that Castles of Mad King Ludwig has, and it also has the same mechanics of you are using tiles between each player to build out upwards a sprawling scape of a castle. In typical Stonemaier fashion, no expenses have been spared to make the component quality and game quality as good as it possibly could be. Inside the box, not only do you have phenomenal artwork all over the cover, it really transports you to that place in Bavaria. So the rulebook is laid out really well, as always, really clear, really concise how to play the game. Also has the 2-player variant. This game is best played at 3. However, the 2-player variant is available in there, and it's a really clear, good rulebook. You have these fantastic inserts, keeping all of your tiles in the box really neatly and really tidily. Something I just really appreciate, just the quality of thought that goes into packaging it in the box. It's really cool. I'll quickly bring it to the table for a brief overview of how it's played or how a setup would be, and then we'll get some final thoughts on the game. Setup really couldn't be simpler. You place your tiles into the centre of the table, and then you'll deal out 1 of the starting tiles for each player. So if you're playing a 2-player game, there'll be 3 tiles and 1 will be as played 1. If you're playing 3, there'll be 4 starting tiles like so. Then each player takes a castle meeple, a keeple, as it were, of their choosing. Like so. Everybody is then dealt out a player aid for endgame scoring, so you know exactly what you're trying to get. And then each player will have 9 of these room tiles handed to them. So these are the room tiles here. So you've got lots of different room tiles with lots of different colours on. And you'll have a pile of that. And essentially, that's the setup. That's it. Everyone has their own supply of tiles, of 9 tiles around the board. Then they will on their turn, they will select a tile, and you are working on the board to your left and the board to your right. So you're kind of cooperatively building, and you're getting the balance of the balance of the 2 points in between each other. You score the lower point castle. So you're kind of working together in that way to kind of build the castle. Now, each tile has its own need or want that it needs to do. So for example, this is you score 1 point for every living room style room adjacent touching this card, and the placement are here. This is also a downstairs room, so it'll have to be placed underneath your main tile. So there's lots of different scoring elements there, as you'll see going through the game. Also, when you have fulfilled the criteria here and you get like 3s or 5s of a matching type, you then can get one of these bonus tiles for extra points at end game scoring. Fundamentally, that's it. You go round and round, handing out the tile, playing out the tiles, playing them into the 2 castles, into their relevant areas where they should be on the castles, going round and round, and then at the end of 3 rounds, you score the final points. That's it. That's how you play it. Okay, that was a pretty short and concise how to play the game. I understand that. There are a lot more rules and things like that on the overlay to go on. There are different points for everything. The different places that you put, where you place your tiles is really important as you're building out your sprawling castle to get more points that way. And to get more of the extra features and get more of the bonus cards, which will help extra scoring along the way. So there's a lot of cool features within the game that will get you benefits. And as I said before, this isn't a playthrough video. I just wanted to give you the rough idea if you have never heard of it before or always been interested. Final thoughts on this. So comparatively it's very similar to the Castles of Mad King Ludwig, the Bezier Games version, because you are placing tiles and it is really important where you're placing those tiles to get those extra points and things like that. So it's really important where you're putting them. There's a lot of similarities with that. The placement options, the playing it to your left and to your right as you go around the board, again, is a really cool feature, and that's again a feature that is in between 2 cities, which is has the same kind of mechanic of I take 2 tiles, do this, then the next person, and you then pass the deck around, and it goes around and round and round. And that's really interesting because sometimes you've got that decision of, do I take this tile now? But if I give it away, I've got to wait till it comes back round, and I might not see that specific tile again, but I really need this garden tile at the moment because that's going to help me with scoring these points as well. So there's a lot of complexity is what I would say. If you really like Between Two Cities, this is an upgrade. I wouldn't say upgrade, this is a step up as far as difficulty, as far as complexity of scoring. Not difficulty of playing, complexity of scoring, let's say. The mechanics for how you get points are far different. And that's something you have to get your head around. Now, if you were bringing this to a table of new gamers, I would probably say Between Two Cities is for newer gamers. I would say for people that are used to the basic mechanics and stuff like that, but obviously scoring is always going to be different, but the basic mechanics of what you're doing, this would be absolutely fine. So I would say Between Two Cities is for not newer, but people who haven't played many games or haven't played this style of game or anything like that. So I'd say that this is for a bit more experienced on the gamer side of things. It's a lovely game, and it's one that will come to the table quite often. Whether it comes to the table as often as Between Two Cities, for that reason, I think Between Two Cities is more family weight than this. But overall, this I personally prefer over Castles of Mad King Ludwig. That's probably going to get me some harassment. Yeah, for me, and I don't know, maybe it's because all of the imagery, the artwork and design is nicer on this. This has got the rooms, and then it's got the designs of rooms. So this is the servants room, and it's got the actual image on there, and that really sells it to me. It sells the world, it sells the creation, it sells the thing that I'm building. With Castles of Mad King Ludwig, I'm just putting down grey tiles and going, okay, that's a hole. That's this. That it's not as vivid, whereas this really feels like you're sprawling this hilarious, crazy castle with bottomless pits and an armory and a kitten room. And that's what I like about this game. So it's definitely one I would recommend this if you like tile placement games, if you like that kind of crunchy scoring, that really tight scoring, and that kind of, it almost feels semi-co-op in that way that you're handing out your tiles left and the right, and you're like, oh, but I really need to improve that, but that's going to help you overall. But I don't want to help you because I want to win the game, but I've got to help you by doing this because I've got to get those scores. Yeah, it makes a really interesting game that I would definitely recommend had you not played it already. So yeah, that's the castles. Between two... Sideways. That's between two castles of Mad King Ludwig. Let me know in the comments below if you've played this, what you think about this. If you prefer this to Between Two Cities, if you prefer Between Two Cities to this, or if you don't like either of them, please let me know your thoughts and feelings. Also, let me know about what you think about Castles of Mad King Ludwig. Am I completely wrong? I'm probably completely wrong in my estimations. I love that game, but it's no longer with us anymore because this is with us. So take that as you will. But and again, thank you for Stonemar Games for sending this wonderful copy across to us for checking out and creating some reviews and some content for. And as always, click the subscribe button if you enjoyed this video, click the like, check out some other videos that I've produced, and more will be coming. So thank you very much. Follow me on Instagram, check out my website, getintogames.co.uk, and yeah, I'm getting to games everywhere, all over the world. Not the world, the internet. You know what I mean. Thanks for watching, everyone. Awkward wave time.